name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. And are you ready for fall? Because Chanel's fall collection has just dropped. And I picked up a few items, so we're going to go through those. First, let me cut to the unboxing and some initial swatches. All right, so my Chanel fall package just arrived. And I got a few extra goodies in there also. My birthday's coming up, and my SA Jelissa, she's celebrating her birthday, this weekend actually. And so she sent me a few little extra goodies as well. So I just wanted to share those quickly. And these are all from the Chanel Factory 5 collection. Oops. So I got the poster. This is, something that you get when you purchase from the collection, and every one of the boutiques that's selling the collection has like a different color and so forth. So this one is specific to the Brickell City Center location, which is where Jelissa works. It's where I always purchase my Chanel items from. And then I also got a couple of the shopping bags, which, it's great. Definitely happy with that. And then birthday candles, birthday candles and little cupcake inserts. So gonna have to have a Chanel party now, right? So I just, I know it's silly, but I really wanted these birthday candles, and these are all things that you can get when you purchase items from the Chanel Factory 5 collection, by the way. And then I also got a coloring book, and she was kind enough to sew them for my kids also. So it was really nice. I didn't even realize they had a coloring book. I guess I didn't look that closely at it, but how awesome is that? I thought that was so nice. And then let's go ahead and unbox my fall order. So here is the fall order. I think the gold ribbon on the matte black box is striking. I love this packaging, the aesthetic of it. And here we go. All right, so inside, looks like we've got a new type of Chanel label on here. And here's my order. So if you like to order directly from a person, I highly recommend ordering from Jelissa at Brickell City Center. I have her information down below in the description box. But, if you are looking for a specific sample or something like that, or you want to try a shade in something, talk to her, see if she can get you the samples, because it's so much easier than ordering online where you can only select certain things. So if there's like a foundation shade or something that I want to try, Jelissa is kind enough to be able to send me those samples. So I've got the mascara and primer samples, which I use all the time. I prefer the minis versus the big ones. And the Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum. And then I have a bunch of samples of the Le Lift skincare line, which is a line that I have been interested in trying out. So got samples of that, as well as the Chanel No. 5 body cream. And then we have my order here. So I ordered 2 of the Laques. I ordered the Kaki, just this one here. I personally love these Stylos. I have a few of them. They don't have a large line, so I have a few of them. They do have the sharpener at the end. It's a twist up product, and just notice the Kaki here is K-A-K-I. So here's this shade. You can see that it's a really beautiful, it's actually more of a dark brown with a hint of olive green in it. So, there's definitely green in it, but there's more brown in it than green. And then the other Stylo I picked up is the gray one. So this one is Contour Graphite or Graphite. And by the way, these Stylos, they are made in Italy with an 18-month shelf life. And I'll have to check the packaging for the size, but let's put this one here. Wow, this is a beautiful gray with a brown base to it. So it's a warm tone gray. This is going to work really well for a lot of people, because I know a lot of people get kind of scared away by having a cooler tone gray. This one is definitely going to be a warmer gray. And then I also picked up the Laques in the same color stories. So we have Lame Bronze, which is number 33. And there are 4 shades of the Laque that came out. And I was interested, I really like the Laques personally. but you know, the pinker redder shade I wasn't as interested in, and the Ivoire looked very similar to Rayon, which I already have, so I skipped that one. That one, the Ivoire is actually more gold than Rayon. Then I also picked up 37 Laque Acier. I'm not sure if that's completely the right way to say it. This is the silver one. And personally, I love silver and gold together, and silver and brown. You know, I think they go really well. And putting the bronze here next to the khaki, you see a lot more of the green there. And then I also picked up 3 of the nail polishes. So this one here is 909 Beige Cendre. And I was gonna paint my nails yesterday and decided to wait for this collection to come. So let's just see here. So that's one sheer layer. We'll let that dry and we'll add that on again. Then I also picked up 905 Brun Fume. And let's see how this one is. So not a great painting job, but honestly, I'm going to be taking these off and painting my nails all the same color in a minute. And then I also picked up 907 Rouge Brun, and I have the shade, what is it? I can't think of what it's called. The Rouge Noir. Oops, totally got my skin there. I have that shade, and I was curious to see how those compared, but I think the Rouge Noir might have a little bit more red in there. Excuse my obvious mess there. But these are the 3 I picked up. Let me just add a second coat. All right, so there's a second coat on each of them, just so you can see what that looks like. And yeah, I mean, you've got this one here, the Beige Cendre, is a warm tone gray. And then the, what is this one? The Brun Fume. It's really like a smoky brown shade. I mean, you can see in here, it's like mushroom, like a mushroom brown. And there's like a little bit of that like olive green in there as well. And then the last one here, which is the Rouge Brun, you know, I think that's a pretty apt description. You've got brown and like a burgundy red in there. I'd say it's more burgundy than brown, but there's definitely a touch of like cocoa in there. So that's everything I picked up from the collection, just to show you, you know, this is the Laque. You know, this one's still a little wet, but you know, once they dry, they really don't smudge. The Stylo you can smudge out. It's like a creamy product. You can use this all over the eye for eyeshadow. You know, obviously you don't want to let it sit as long as I have to use it for eyeshadow, but if you put it on right away, it's creamy enough. You can take like a stiffer, denser brush and totally work that out. And that's something I really like to do with these Stylos. And during the spring collection, when they released the Beige Perle Stylo, and they also released another one. Anyway, I did a whole look using that all over my face to show you the versatility of that. So I'll leave that link down below for anybody who's interested in seeing how those Stylos can be used. And that's it for this unboxing. I'm going to be playing with these things, and then I'll be back with some demos and thoughts. I'll see you in a bit. Thanks. So I hope that was helpful. I have been playing with these items for a couple of days now. And this here is the Beige Cendre nail polish. So that's this one, which is number 909. And I actually have 3 coats on it. It's a sheer nail polish, so you definitely want at least 2. You could go up to 3. I smudged my second coat, so I put a 3rd coat on, but I would have probably just left it at 2. Although if you do really sheer layers, you really need a 3rd, if that makes sense. The other 2 shades that I picked up, these are, you know, they're much less sheer, and, you know, 2 coats would be sufficient with these. I never do just 1 coat, so I would recommend 2 coats. Let's start off with swatching these on some cardboard here. And this here is the Beige Cendre, and you can see the sheerness in there. All right, so we've got Beige Cendre with 1 swipe, and this one is when it's piled up. This is 1 swipe of 905 Brun Fume, and this is it piled up. Okay, and this 3rd column is 907 Rouge Brun, Again, one swipe versus piled up. So these are the three I picked up. The fourth shade is more of like a bright classic red, and I have enough polishes that are similar that I passed on that one. But I did want to compare Rouge Brun to Rouge Noir. So this is number 18, Rouge Noir. And you remember how like Vamp was like such a classic color. They say that Rouge Noir is the original Vamp, and then the Vamp nail polish now has been changed. That's what I've read at least. So I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but I have read that in the past. So this one here is Rouge Noir. And you can see that there's definitely much more red in there than Rouge Brun. So Rouge Brun means brown red, Rouge Noir means black red, so you can kind of get an idea of the differences between these. And the Rouge Noir is going to be cooler in tone, whereas Rouge Brun is warmer in tone. So for swatches on the nails, that was during the unboxing, so I hope that was helpful. I know they were pretty messy, but hopefully you were able to get an idea of what they look like. Now let's go ahead and cut to the demo where I created this eye look, and I used the Laques and the Stylos, and then when we come back, we will do some comparisons of those and talk about my thoughts. So I applied the Viseart eye primer. We're starting off with shade number 37, Lame Acier, this silver shade. And I'm putting a swatch on the back of my hand, and I'm taking the Smith 247, just getting a little bit of product on there, and just, well, it's too much. Just gonna softly brush that into the crease. You can see that it dries pretty quickly. Now when going into the next eye, you don't want to use anything that's still remaining on the back of your hand because it's going to be like halfway dry, so get some new product. Next, we're taking number 33, Lame Bronze, and I'm going to put some of this on the back of my hand here. And I'm going in with the worker brush from the Sonia G Lotus set. You can see I have plenty of product here. And I'm just going to kind of start tapping this on. All right, so now we're gonna let that dry, and then I can go in and layer it on again to kind of get rid of some of those sheer areas because it doesn't look completely consistent on the eye. So we're gonna let that dry and do the other eye. All right, so this is what it looks like with one layer. And this is kind of a sheer formula. So if you swipe it, it's very, very sheer. So that's why we're tapping instead, just getting more product. And I'm just gonna go in on top of that. Just trying to, just to cover any of the clear areas, or sheer areas, I mean. Okay, and then taking the Smith and just kind of blending that as it dries right there, so it just smooths out a little. All right, so this is it for the lid color. And now I'm just gonna put a little bit more on the back of my hand, just a tiny bit. I'm gonna go in with the tip, and I'm gonna put this on the lower lash line here, just little bits. And then for the inner corner, I'm taking a little bit of the silver on the back of my hand, and I'm going in with the rougher 26 and just getting a little bit on the tip here. I'm going to dab this in the inner corner here. And you can see I used too much. I'll have to fix that. There we go. So it turned out better on this side. This side got a little bit too much there. And And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab that off real quickly. So it's still wet enough that I was able to kind of get it enough with my microfiber cloth. And I think that's going to be it. I don't want to play around with it. I'm just taking the brush, which is mostly dry now, and blending it to the halfway point on top of the bronze. All right, and then let's play with the Stylos. Now for this, we're going to play with the Stylo in Contour Graphite. And this one here is, it's more of a brownish gray. So if you look at it straight on, not next to anything else, it looks like a really deep warm gray with hints of purple. You know how sometimes if you're looking at a room that's painted like a medium gray and you see like hints of purple in that gray, that's what this looks like with some shimmer. When you put it next to other things, it looks either more gray or more brown, depending on the tones. So it definitely has those brown tones to it. And I think this is going to be a great shade to go with this. We're going to put this along the lash line here. I love how creamy these are. There is the Graphite. And just for completion's sake, let's go ahead and try out the Kaki as well. Now, the Kaki is another one that kind of shifts colors depending on when you're looking at it, what it's next to. If you look at it straight on, it looks more brown. And then when you put it next to other things, you see more of those olive green tones. It's really one of those like army green shades, but it has more brown in it. And so depending on what it's next to is going to determine whether it looks more green or more brown. We're going to put this one on the other eye here. You can see how creamily these things go on. You know, I thought I'd like the gray graphite better on this, but I actually like the Kaki better with this look. So I'm going to go over the graphite. And then I wiped off the Refer 27 brush, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of smudge this out a little bit with that. Now with the Stylos, you can use these all over as eyeshadow. They will set, but you have, 30 seconds to a minute. These Laques set much faster, so you've got plenty of time to kind of play with these. All right, so that's the final eye look. And I will see you. So I hope that was helpful. I finished off the look with the Chanel Sublimage foundation. I have shade BR12. I used the Le Volume de Chanel mascara. Blush is Jersey, and on the lips, I have the lip liner in Nude Brun and the Velvet Extreme lipstick in number 118, Eternal. And there are two lipsticks that were released in this collection, and they're in the Rouge Velvet line. It's Mode and Low Key, and they just look similar enough to things I already had that I ended up passing on them, but they are limited editions. So if you're interested in them, check those out. And there's also a blush that was released with this collection called Ombre, and that is also limited edition. And I thought about picking it up, but it's really more of like a pure brown blush, which isn't the best for my complexion. So I went with Jersey today because it's a rosier version of a browner blush. So it still gives me a similar look, but the rosiness is a little bit more appealing on my undertones. So let's take a look at the Stylos. So we're gonna start off with the two new Stylos here. This is number 17, Contour Graphite. And you can see that it looks gray on its own, but then when you start putting things next to it, it's gonna look more brown, and there is some shimmer in here. So I'm gonna swatch the two new ones side by side first. This one is Kaki, number 13. And it's Kaki, so you can see that this one looks really green at the moment, but then when we start putting things next to it, it's going to start looking more brown. So that's something that's unique about these. So we're going to start by comparing some of the other Stylos that I have. This one here is number 40, Beige Cendre. It's not really going to go with either of these. This is lighter brown. Just wanted to compare that because, well, it's my favorite. And then this is number 34, Contour Brun. I'm gonna put this one over here next to the Kaki. And this one is a matte shade like the Kaki. This was a limited edition one that came out a year or two ago. And then we have number 12, Contour Clair. And this one, it's a really creamy matte shade. And you can see that it's gonna be brown, but it's like a softer fawn shade of brown. It has warm undertones to it. It looks a little bit cooler than it does on its own, being next to the Kaki shade, but it really does have those warmer tones in it. Now, let's move on to Chanel Stylo Yeux. This is number 20, Espresso. We're gonna put this one right here. You can see that it is gonna be more brown. And the browner the stuff you put next to the Kaki shade, the greener it looks. When you put green things next to it, it's gonna look brown. And then this is the Chantecaille Luster Glide eyeliner in silk. I mean, not silk, sorry, it's in earth, it's the brown one. So here you go. I don't know. I was thinking silk because Chantecaille has removed the silk from these eyeliners. So the ones that are out now do not have silk infused in them anymore. And let's take a look at the Graphite. So this is the Victoria Beckham Satin Cajal in Ash. You can see that it's way more black in comparison. It's really much deeper, more charcoal. And this is the Chanel Stylo in Gris Graphite or Graphite. You can see it's silver with sparkle compared to this warmer tone gray. And you can see next to each other that the contour Graphite looks more brown. It almost looks brown. We also have the Chantecaille eyeliner in Slate. Let's put that right here. So that one's here. And that one's bluer in tone. Then we have a few more. This is a limited edition Chanel eyeliner that came out, I think, a year ago. This is 951 Kaki Intense. We're gonna put this right next to this Kaki. You can see that those are very close to each other. The Kaki Intense has a touch more gray in it. And then in the new eyeliners, they came out with number 56, Kaki Metal. I'm gonna put that right next to it. So right above it here is Kaki Metal, which has more green in it, more of a yellowish green compared to the Kaki Intense. And it's gonna be lighter and softer in color compared to the Kaki Stylo. Keep in mind that this one also has some shimmer and Kaki in the Stylo does not. And last up, we have the Chantecaille Olive Brocade, which is my favorite. You can see it's much brighter and you've got that gold, iridescence in there. And there you go. So those are my eyeliner comparisons. Now let's take a look at the Laques. So this is number 37, Laque Acier. This is the silver shade. Now this one goes on fairly pigmented. Obviously, if you do it the way I did in the demo, you can get a much more sheer layer. Even when you're using it softly, it's very smooth in color. Whereas this one, number 33, Laque Bronze, this one, when you swipe it on with a sheerer layer, it looks a little bit patchier. And you really want to go in with thinner layers to put this on. So the first couple times that I was playing with these, no problems at all with the silver, but the bronze took me a few tries to kind of get it to look right. And I found the best method for that one is to really pat that on in thin layers and then go over it. So I like 2 layers like I did today. The silver one, you don't have to do it that way. You can just sweep it on in 2 sheer layers or just pat it on in 1 layer. It's not quite as finicky. So these set very quickly. You can see that they're actually almost dry on my skin, and there's a cooling effect as they dry, so you can feel it dry. So when I'm using these to increase longevity, I just make sure after I put them on, because I do have wrinkles in my eyes and slightly hooded eyes, I leave my eyes closed for 5 to 10 seconds until I don't feel any more of that evaporation, and then I have no issues with creasing or anything throughout the day. One other thing to know with the locks is you want to make sure you do one eye at a time because they do dry so quickly. And do not reuse any product that you kind of like took out for use on the eyes, because it's going to be like partially dried up and then it won't look right on your other eye. So you want to just take a little bit at a time and work slowly, or work quickly, but work one eye at a time. So this one here is the closest shade from the previous locks. This is number 28, Desert Wind. You can see that that is much more of a taupe shade, but it goes beautifully with these two that I picked up. And then there were two other shades in the collection. One of them is called Ivoire, which is similar to this shade. This one here is Rayon. Now you can see that Rayon here is kind of like this peachy champagne shade. Ivoire is actually more of a pale gold. So if you're looking for something more gold, Ivoire in the new collection is really nice. And the other two shades are limited edition. One shade was more of a berry shade, which is just something I don't really wear on my eyes, so I skipped that. And yeah, those are them. So let's take a look at just a few powder comparisons as well. First, I want to start off with the Les Beige Intense palette, and I'm just going to swatch all of these so you can kind of see how they compare. So this shade here, which is this green one here, this is going to be the closest to Kaki. You can see that they both have kind of that brown base with some olive green in there. And they're both a matte shade. And then let's also take a look at Blurry Green, number 318. Put this one here. Okay, so you can see that this green is going to be softer, but mixing the green and the brown in here is going to give you a similar effect. And then let's take a look at Modern Glamour. This is number 334. And this has like grays and silvers. So let's put this one here. And compared to Silver Lame, let's take a look at the first and fourth shades. All right, so here's the first shade, and here's the fourth shade. I would say that Modern Glamour is gonna be cooler in tone. The undertones are cooler, but you get about the same amount of depth from the fourth shade in here. The tones are closer though in the first shade. So this one here, that's closer, it's just lighter in color, so you'd have to pack that on to get to that pigmentation level. But I think if you're looking for a powder alternative, it's a really good option. So I would say then overall you can get these shades from the Les Beige Intense palette and the Modern Glamour. So that's it for my comparisons. I hope they were helpful. And overall, I have to say I am very pleased with this fall collection. This is, in my opinion, much better than last year's fall collection, which just didn't seem that fall-like to me with all the pinks and the reds. This really seems much more fall-like, more autumn-like. And, you know, I personally love those colors. You know, 90s grunge is kind of coming back a little bit, and this look is very reminiscent of that, in my opinion. And yeah, I personally really enjoy this. Now, I do have to say that these locks, they dry very quickly. They are not going to be for everybody. I personally like the locks. It does seem like my Lame Bronze, though, dries slightly faster than some of the other ones I have. So just something to note that you really have to work quickly with that one. And when you are working with the locks, you really want to make sure you're using just a little product at a time, because you want to make sure it's smooth. You don't want any like lumps and bumps in your application. So work quickly, but work cautiously, if that makes sense. So you just want to make sure that you are careful and you're not rushing, but you're going quickly if you can. And again, make sure you focus on one eye at a time. Now, the locks in general, this formula, you can use them for like blush and highlight and things like that on the face as well. I have done that with some of the other shades. Obviously, the two shades I picked up now don't really work well for that purpose. But they work great just for eyeliner as well. So one of the things I like to do with the locks is I will take a liner brush, and I like the flat tip liners like the Signature Flat Definer or something like that. And I just run that on the paddle here and then use that to like edge around my eyes. And since these dry so quickly and they really stay put, it's a really fantastic alternative, yet they wash off very easily. So it's definitely something to consider, especially if you're interested in trying one, but you're a little nervous about the colors being a little bit more pigmented. It's a great way to use it and try it out, and then you can play with it and be more daring if you want to. So I would love to know if you have any interest in this collection, whether you picked anything up or you're considering it. Again, I think there's kind of something for everybody in this collection because I gravitated more towards these cooler tones, but then the other shades that they have, you know, they're much warmer in tone. So I like how Chanel really kind of encompassed both cooler and warm tones because I find that's something that can be exclusionary, not just, you know, skin depth, but also the undertones. And I find this collection to really be very complimentary. There's something for everybody. And yeah, please let me know what you think and what you are considering picking up, if anything at all. And I cannot wait to see what they have planned for holiday. So thank you so much for tuning in. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, and please subscribe if you haven't already. See you very soon. Have a great day.